I call to order this meeting of the Warren County School Board for Thursday, October the 8th, 2015. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on the agenda tonight is to accept or modify the agenda. Is there a motion?
Madam Chairman, I would make a motion to accept the modified agenda as distributed.
Is there a second? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Community participation. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? Okay, you may come forward, come to the podium, and please print and state your name and address. And realize that this may be the first time we've heard this information, so you will not be getting a response from us tonight. And please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes.
My name's Carol Voris, 1319 Madison Avenue. I'm an employee of Warren County Public Schools. I've been at Rusty Jeffries Elementary School for 24 years. For years, we have been promised renovations or improvements. We are continually on one list or another. Funds have been earmarked for our school only to have something else come up that takes precedence over the needs of our school and our students. A new high school was built, other schools renovated, and improvements were made. The old 15th Street Middle School is currently being renovated. I believe it will house Diversified Minds, Social Services, and the Maintenance Department. County employees also received an invitation to the groundbreaking ceremony for the new middle school. Other things beyond the scope of the school board, but still duly noted, is a state-of-the-art regional detention center to house inmates from 3 jurisdictions. Rusty Jeffries lacks central air conditioning. We currently use numerous window units that do not adequately cool, contain mold throughout, and are constantly needing repair. The beginning and ending months of school is especially hard on the students when the temperature in the gym can easily rise to 100 degrees. There have been many instances when it's too hot to go outside and too hot to have classes in the gym. Also, when the gym is filled to capacity, for example, the kindergarten graduation, people have to step out into the hallway because of the stifling conditions in the gym. The roof is constantly leaking after any substantial amount of rain. It's not unusual to have a giant trash barrel in every hallway and numerous buckets throughout the school. There are some classrooms that upon entering, you are met with a strong and almost overpowering smell of mold and or mildew. These teachers utilize air fresheners to mask the smell. One classroom has an air purifier and a dehumidifier that has to be emptied twice a day during every school day. Replacing carpet and tile doesn't fix the underlying problems. There are many students and faculty members that have asthma or other upper respiratory issues that are affected by these conditions. This is not a healthy or safe environment for anyone, least of all our children. The recent pictures, and I do have copies for you, and I also have some on a board, trim that is nailed and or duct taped to the wall, leak stains, black mold on ceiling tiles, missing or broken hallway light coverings, broken radiator covers, and doors that have gaps and or holes underneath. Our doors also need to be pulled closed to make sure they latch behind us. Again, I am here this evening imploring you to take us off the list. And finally, give the students and staff at Rusty Jeffries the improvements and renovations we deserve. With all due respect, our kids matter, and they deserve more than just empty promises.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board?
Catherine, 430 Skyline Forest Drive, Port Royal, Virginia. When I discussed the conditions at Ressie Jeffries during the Candidates Forum, I became so impassionate that I ran out of time before completing my thoughts. I saw and felt the unacceptable conditions there, and I know Ressie Jeffries needs much to be addressed sooner than later. I am aware that the funding toward that has recently become available and is a great deal more available in the near future. The sale of the Water Street property yielded $110,016 to the school district. Another source of revenue will come from the bond to build the new middle school. While the total funding for the middle school was $35,179,595, the total projected cost is $33,148,395, leaving a little over $2 million to be spent on our schools. I know that some of the remaining amount must be retained for unforeseen construction cost, so the funds cannot be transferred to the other buildings, including Ressie, until the cost of the new middle school has accurately determined. However, I commend this board for making Ressie Jeffries a priority when the unused funds become available. Another source of revenue for improvements for Ressie will come from the energy saving project that the school board has agreed to pursue with the Mariso. Again, thank you to the school board for designating that energy savings that will be earmarked to upgrade Ressie. Although many of us are concerned with Ressie Jeffries faculty, people need to know, however, that the staff at Ressie are doing so many wonderful things to help the students in and outside the classroom. I definitely saw that the day that I was there and very touched by that. They are to be commended for their positive attitude despite working in a building that needs a great deal of tender loving care. I speak with Carol and the fact that at 9:15 in the morning in the gymnasium, with just 2 small classes in there, it was 84 degrees. I saw the duct tape. I smelled the odor, but I cannot tell you how impressed I was with the staff. Never once, when they showed me the issues, were they ever negative. They were just let me aware of what was going on, and they were just so professional, and I cannot even talk about this without getting a little emotional. I don't know exactly why, but it just really touched my heart. Those kids deserve a better place. They deserve to come into that school and have to be proud of what they're around. You know, we can go in and visit, we can spend an hour like I did, and then we can go home to our nice houses. We can go back to the nice schools, and it's easy to be forgotten. For me, I did not forget it. It has been on my mind since I left there, that it's not acceptable in no way, shape, or form. It's not fair, and it needs to be the top priority, and it needs to be fixed, as I said, sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on. That's okay.
My name is Randy Beatty, 71 Rocky Lane, Front Royal, Virginia. I'm going to get it. My son is actually one of the kids that are in the classroom that you'll see pictures of. And the smell is really bad. My child does suffer from seasonal allergies, And I've noticed, and I did not even think about it until I've seen and went in the classroom, that he's been coming home with headaches. I love Rusty Jeffries. I went to Rusty Jeffries. My father went to Rusty Jeffries. So it's very important to see the school get the renovations they need, not only for all the kids, especially my child. Today, I'm like constantly defending Rusty Jeffries. Just today I have a job where I do go to all the schools in Virginia. And today I was actually at E. Wilson, and one of the parents asked me, "Do you like Rusty Jeffries? My kid is supposed to go there, but they don't." And I said, "I love Rusty Jeffries." And they brought up how ugly Rusty Jeffries was. I'm tired of defending for him. I think Rusty Jeffries is a wonderful school, and I want to see my kid stay there. I don't want to pull my kid out because of these problems. He loves it there, but I'm a mother, so I need to make sure that he gets proper help. And the air purifiers are great. The humidifier is great. New carpeting is great, but there's still a problem that exists that needs to be taken care of. So, and that's all I need to say.
You did very well without notes. Anyone else?
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Kim Freeman, and I live at 32 Mountain Heights Road. And I've been working at Rusty Jeffries for 16 plus years, more than 20 if you count when my kids went there. I've been involved a long time at the school. I love my job. I'm a kindergarten assistant there. And I love the people that I work with. We're a tight-knit group. We don't want to complain. We just don't want to be forgotten. And our basic needs are not being met in some cases. Our school is old, everyone knows that. It's outdated. Our employees don't have adequate parking and must utilize the Samuels Library at times. Our rooms have asbestos, mold, leaks, among other things. We just need help. We're here to put the human faces to our requests, complaints, and pleas. Our morale is very low, and it doesn't help when we get the news that another brand new building is breaking ground. Please consider making Rusty Jeffries a high priority for improvement. And I do thank you all for everything you do. I know you have a tough job, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Sean McCloskey. I live at 547 Raleigh Ridge Drive. A year ago, I was at Rusty Jeffries waiting to assist a parent with an IEP meeting. I was in the office, and a thunderstorm went by. It's rather disturbing to hear the principal run out of his office and say, "It's raining, we need to get the trash cans in the halls." When I asked, "Oh, y'all have a couple of leaks?" I was told at that time that the roof had leaked for years. It drove me to where I am today, and I know you all know about it, and for the sake of the kids, please give this the attention it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Now's your chance.
We'll be back. See you next time.
We thank you for coming tonight, and we are aware of the issues, and it is a top priority for us, and we do thank you for all you do. Thanks. Next on the agenda, consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept or approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Noes? I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Motion carries. Reports. Committee reports. Report of Gifted Advisory Committee. Mrs. Myers.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the chair of the Gifted Advisory Committee. She has a report from the committee to you. You have a copy of it there along with the brochure. The chair of our committee has served on the committee as a parent for several years, and she served as chair for a few years and been a very valuable member of the committee and has really supported and helped me a lot. And so she's going to take it from here. I would like to introduce to you Mrs. Carrie Burke.
Thank you, Janet. Good evening. We've been wanting to do this for some time. It is the role of the advisory committee to evaluate the local plan for education for the gifted each year, pick a portion of that plan, take a closer look at it, and provide a report to the school board each year. We have been attempting to do that, and we're kind of excited that tonight will be our first time to do this. So we hope that this is going to be an annual event for us, and if you'd like us to report more often, we would love to do that. What I'd like to start with is you received a bullet point list tonight, which is basically kind of a synopsis of a lot of the things that the gifted coordinator is doing in Warren County. It's not everything, but it is certainly a good portion. So what I want to focus on tonight are just a couple of the successes at the very top, which have to do with the part of the local plan that we focused on this year. But I want to start with a couple of things. First thing I want to do is just to kind of reiterate what the meaning of a gifted child is in Warren County. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the definition directly from the local plan, and I'm going to add something very important to that. So the local plan states that a gifted child are those students in public, elementary, middle school, and secondary schools beginning with kindergarten through 12th grade who demonstrate high levels of accomplishment or who show the potential for higher levels of accomplishment when compared to other students of the same age, experience, or environment. Their aptitudes and potential for accomplishment are so outstanding that they require special programs to meet their educational needs. And it goes on to say that what we test for the general intellectual aptitude is that such students demonstrate or have the potential to demonstrate superior reasoning, persistent intellectual curiosity, advanced use of language, exceptional problem solving, rapid acquisition and mastery of facts, concepts and principles, and creative and imaginative expression across a broad range of intellectual disciplines beyond their age level peers. What I want to add to that is these are all wonderful positive factors for the students that are identified as gifted. However, with those positive factors that are obviously a wonderful tribute to potential success, these children also demonstrate social emotional challenges, major confidence issues, perfectionism, lack of motivation, and a lot of feeling out and not fitting in. So those are the important characteristics of a gifted child that not only this program needs to focus on and work with to keep our children engaged and keep them progressing and thriving in our school system. I feel very passionate about this advisory committee, and I have loved working with Janet, so I just wanted to bring some of these to your attention. So what I want to do is just quickly start with, my daughter was recognized about 9 years ago. She's a junior now in high school. But in second grade, a teacher brought it to my attention that she appeared to have, an aptitude for gifted learning. So when I asked about it, she said, yeah, but you don't want to do that. They're just going to give her more work, and it's going to be more of a punishment. So I thought, okay, well, she's young. It's only second grade. We'll wait. I didn't really know too much about it at the time. Third grade came along, and I got a call from her third grade teacher who said, oh my gosh, this girl is showing attributes for gifted learning, and she really needs to be tested. We have a wonderful gifted program, and we progressed from there. She was identified that year, and she's been in the program, and now she's a junior at Warren County High School. So I continued to be very involved at this elementary school, volunteering, PTO, all that other good stuff. And while I was there, I continued to hear a lot of the teachers saying things like, oh, we have a gifted program. I didn't know we had a gifted program. Parents saying, I didn't know we had a gifted program. So as we've evolved and I've been able to work with Janet on the committee, we kind of felt like a part of the local plan that really needed some work is that professional development piece, the communication not only for the teachers but the parents so that these students can get some of the services that they need. So I just wanted to share that story with you as we progress through this report. So what we did is we focused the first couple years after the new local plan came out on identification of the children. And I think that went over very well. We surveyed the teachers and we found out a little bit more about the challenges that they were going through. And then we decided to focus on professional development. And it's tough. We had one staff member, a 10-month employee, trying to really support the entire school. The full evaluation, the testing, the training, the constant communication with parents, and then additional duties became added to her job schedule. So we're trying to rack our brain. We know we don't have the budget to add to staff. So she was brilliant and came up with this idea of gifted endorsement. And it has been a wonderful, wonderful program here at Warren County High School. We have been able to basically extend her job duties into the schools through the gifted endorsement program. And on your bullet point sheet, you'll see that we now have a total of 14 gifted endorsed teachers in Warren County Public Schools that are providing services in the local school levels to the teachers to keep them informed of what's going on, to the parents to teach them about what's available out there as resources for their children, and really helping Janet and the gifted program out with a focus on the delivery of these services. And I'm just pleased about it. I'm really excited about it. We had a meeting last week that was it's pumped up, it was powerful, it was productive. The teachers were there, the parents were there, lots of discussion about where we're going, and I just think that it's a very powerful program. And what I wanted to share with you specifically about this gifted endorsement is what it's doing at the local level to the schools. I'm kind of jealous my daughter's junior year because I think she would have really enjoyed these new services at the elementary and the middle school level. But just to share with you an example, the GATE program at the middle school now has, we've had the endorsed teachers, but they are now able to focus with this group of children for an entire semester working on a project that lasts the entire semester. So the value, to me as a parent, the value of having that child have that relationship with that teacher for that long a period of time is basically invaluable. It builds relationships, it builds trust, that child has someone to talk to, they have a group of people to bond with, and for these kids it's very important. So I'm really impressed. I think one of the grades is going to be building and constructing a golf course, so using all their skills and challenging them to do research and so forth is extremely impressive. I bring that to your attention because I want you to know all this great stuff that's going on out there. So I think as far as the advisory committee goes, officially, we'd like to say that a portion of professional development through this gifted endorsement program is meeting the needs of the local plan as stated in the local plan. And we're not giving up on this area. It's very important. And we'll probably be spending the next year or two continuing to develop that professional development area of the local plan. And then also on your bullet point, I just wanted to note too that having your staff member, Janet, become a 12-month employee is also proven to be invaluable. I think this summer proved to be helpful in the sense that she was able to spend more time strategizing, planning. You have a brochure with your notes there that will help the teachers, the community, but most important, those parents get the services they need to help understand their gifted child. I thought when my daughter was identified it was going to be smooth sailing. These kids really are special. They have special needs. They really need special attention to keep them motivated, to keep them positively progressing in school. So it's a wonderful program. And our identification rate has grown. That's another thing I wanted to just say. The end of June 2014, we were at a total ID of 269, and we're up to 297 here in Warren County Schools. So I'd like to open it up for any questions of Janet.
Now, that's not fair.
I told her I was going to do that to her.
What's involved in the endorsement program? Do we pay for that?
This is a program that for those teachers who are committed and interested in becoming a gifted endorsed teacher, they do need to apply and get approved for a full funding for that program. And they also have to commit to be here for 3 years following that endorsement.
That was my next question.
Yes. So if they do leave within that 3-year period, they would have to pay those funds back.
I have a question and then a comment. You said we have 14 completed the program, 3 left the system. Does that bring us down to 11, or we currently have 14?
We currently have 14.
Okay.
We have 4 in the
In
process.
process.
And they're coming out at various times. And then I think Janet talked to another one that is very interested in joining the program. So it's a great way to utilize our existing resources to add value to that.
Right, and I do commend Janet for encouraging that program for teachers to be endorsed so that they can do turnkey training within their own buildings. But I have been an advocate for years for gifted resource teachers. We are, I believe, the only school division in the area that does not have gifted resource teachers. And these children have special needs,
They do.
just like many other students in our division. But I do believe, and I won't speak for him, but I do believe Mr. Drescher, our new superintendent, also sees that need, and that would be a real plus for our program.
I agree.
In your review of the plan, and Janet, you may be able to address this, sometimes we get differing stories, and the secondary people say you favor the elementary kids, and the elementary people say, oh, every secondary gets everything. Is one part of our program stronger than the other? I mean, I know we try to balance it, but is one part of the program right now stronger than the other? Do we need to work on the secondary? Do we need to work on elementary or middle school, maybe?
We tried to focus equally, and I think we've really come a long way with services at the elementary and the middle school level. And we are addressing 8th grade as well, because we've now gotten those endorsed teachers at the high school, and they're actually pulling the gifted students in 8th grade once a week at both high schools. And it's kind of difficult to serve students at the high school level, and I think this is true of really all school systems, not just ours. It's hard to find a way to serve. So we do have an independent study program that the students can participate in. We don't have specific classes just for the gifted students. They can sign up for AP dual enrollment, Mountain Vista Governor's School, some things like that to address their needs. But we don't really have a specific program for them at the high school level. So I would say it's not that we're trying to ignore them, but it's a little bit more challenging to try to serve that group of students.
Thank you.
And I'd like to add that I think we're kind of evolving to get into that a little bit more, but I've understood too that the needs of the children continually change, and they're so unique in their own situations that being able to serve them as a group is a little bit harder to do. We have a wonderful, I heard both 8th grade teachers at both high schools speak at our last meeting, and was really impressed with what they're trying to do as an 8th grade level of creating this consistent program that extends the entire school year, so that they're building relationships with each other. But the fact that this teacher is going to get to know them on a personal level will I guess, shine a light on what their needs are on a social emotional issue. We're also looking at talking with the guidance counselors at both schools to provide more training for them that they can address the social emotional issues of these students. I see, things like, losing motivation and stress and anxiety becoming such a big issue with these kids. They've kind of had it, they've been able to perform fairly easily throughout for those that don't have more of the disciplinary issues that they have to face. But by the time they get to high school, they're really struggling, and they're not quite sure what direction they're going to go in. So counseling is going to be a big part of that. Career counseling, sitting down and having them do some of the career tests, help them figure out a little bit of who they are, and what they want to do, their next step in life, and not make it so much about just the academic piece, but about the personal interest piece as well.
It's kind of sad what you said earlier, that the second grade teacher said, oh, you don't want your child to be identified, they would just get more homework or whatever. And I think we have gravitated from that position, I hope. And first I want to say, I'm a teacher advocate. I was a teacher. I'm still in Warren County High School teaching poetry. So I think that even more so today, we expect our teachers to be superhuman. They have to do so many things. But I do think one of the things they probably are doing is differentiating for the kids in their classroom. So if a student can't take all those AP honors classes and all that sort of thing, that within the classroom, if a teacher in the high school identifies someone who has really mastered the material at the beginning of the course or something like that, hopefully they will challenge, enrich, and not just pile on more homework.
Exactly.
You know, they will differentiate for those students with gifted special needs.
There's been a lot of wonderful research that has come out, I think, to help support that and help us understand it better. That just
Right.
because they're identified doesn't mean that they're just automatically going to be successful.
Right.
But they do have a lot of other needs that need to be met.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Any other?
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
You need a motion?
Do we need a motion?
Maybe.
No, it's a report.
No.
Just a report, I think.
Staff report.
Wait.
Mr. Hirsch, instruction
Oh.
report.
Excuse me? Wait a minute.
We have to appoint the committee.
That's the action agenda. Right, right.
Okay, we're okay? Mr. Hirsch. Yeah.
That was just a report.
Right.
We ain't doing nothing.
Am I talking? You're talking. Instruction. The instruction report? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
I see I have a few things today, so I wasn't sure. Madam Chairman, Mr. Superintendent, thanks for the opportunity for discussing instruction, specifically instruction that focuses on support for students with disabilities. Warren County Public Schools has been selected, as you well know, for Cohort 2 of the Virginia Commonwealth University Autism Center for Excellence Technical Assistance Grant. This is the second year of the grant. We're very excited to be working with VCU, and our programs that have already been stellar in supporting students on the autism spectrum are just getting that much more stellar, and my guest speaker will illuminate that for you. We've just completed our first year of the 3-year grant. The goal of the grant is to implement systems change for educating students with autism in Warren County. And we have exciting changes that have taken place just this last year, and Gina Cornett, our lead in this grant and one of our occupational therapists, will talk about that. So if it's okay, I'd like to introduce Gina Cornett.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you for your time. This is our lovely little logo for the Autism Services Improvement Team made by one of our IT people. So I like to use that as frequently as possible. The first slide that I have for you just gives you an overview of the other divisions that are in Cohort 2 with us. This is the second time that VCU ACE has put this grant out there, so this is the group that's currently going through it now. The first thing that we did was evaluate our programs for individuals with autism. We looked at our SCIP classrooms, as we commonly refer to them. It's our Sensory Social Communication Integration Program, and that is the programming that we have in preschool, elementary school, middle, and high for students whose autism is more of a severe impact on their education and requires very specialized instruction. So we looked in those classrooms first using this assessment. These are the areas that are addressed in that assessment. We use that information to create a gap analysis and look at what areas we wanted to start and to target as far as making improvements. You can see our data here on the top. Ooh, I should have changed my headings, sorry. This is the primary on the top from 2015, and the secondary on the bottom is from 2015. To get you kind of oriented with the bar graph, a 3 is meeting expectations that you're proficient. 5 is something that is exemplary, so that is our goal, and 1 is not meeting the areas that we need to target. So you can see that we have some areas of improvement, we have some areas of strength. What we decided to do was to look at implementing visual supports first. We thought that we could get the most bang for our buck. That is an evidence-based practice for working with individuals with autism. Visual supports are things like visual schedules, like you all have your calendars. You can use visual supports like when you go through the drive-through and you are seeing picture menus and as well as the words so you can make your choices. Those are things that are visual supports and they're very valuable in the classroom. That has affected our scores on learning environment, curriculum and instruction, personal independence, and behavior, which you can't quite see there, and also functional behavior. We have done a couple different layers. We decided that cohort 1 is the group that we started with for educating on visual supports and then coaching them on implementing in the classroom. We did start with that core group of teachers of those skip classrooms and also all of the related service professionals that work in those classrooms. So your occupational therapist, your speech therapist, your physical therapist that serve those students. So we did training with them and they're receiving coaching on using those visual supports with their students with autism. It's not the only layer we put in. We also are presenting to all of the schools on visual supports. We presented already to the middle school and to Skyline High School, and we plan to go to the rest. We did participate in creating a county-wide coaching model because there were other coaching models going on, like for the collaborative teaching, PBIS, and new teachers. We felt it was important for teachers to understand exactly what the process was of coaching and what we do here in Warren County related to that. So we did have that happen. The next evidence-based practice that we are going to be using and implementing this school year is reinforcement, which falls in line with the PBIS grant that we have. That's the Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports. We have that grant going on at the middle school and both high schools. So reinforcement will be a focus area this school year for ACID and for PBIS. We are very excited about 2 different social skills things that we have going on. Social skills is a major deficit area for individuals with autism and happens to be one of the highest barriers for them having gainful employment and establishing good social relationships and having self-worth and not being depressed. So we definitely wanted to address that area. We have the STARS class that we are piloting this fall at Skyline High School. It is social, transition, academic, and resource skills. We are using a research program, the PEERS program. It's effective for scientifically based. That was the word I was looking for. Scientifically based for implementing change for individuals with autism. So we are using that curriculum. We're also embedding the I'm Determined curriculum, which is a curriculum that enables individuals with disabilities to advocate for themselves, kind of own the concerns and the strengths that they have and be able to advocate for their own success within their education. And we also have transition materials, that should say, from Colin Miller, who is our transition coordinator for the county. So this class is currently going on. We have 9 students this fall. We have 10 students planned for the spring. It is for 8th through 12th grade students. It is an hour and a half a day. It also has resource for things that they need to do academically, assistance there. The other pilot that we have going on is the QUEST program at Hilda J. Barber. And this is also a pilot that's currently going on for 5th grade students. Both of these pilots are for students that are in inclusion classes. We are not targeting the skip classrooms for the social skills piece because they are so focused on the evidence-based practices and being coached. We didn't want to overwhelm everybody with all at once. And we also wanted to address all of our students who have autism at different levels. This class is going on two times per week for 30 to 40 minutes. We have a policies and procedures subcommittee that is working on creating the Autism Assistance Handbook. It's breaking down all the different areas of how to educate students with autism and giving guidelines and resources so that teachers can access that. The plan is to have that available online for parents and teachers. In conclusion, we are finishing up the first year of the 3-year grant. VCU is coaching us on how to coach our staff. We realize that this is not a 3-year process. This is more like a 10-year process. So at the end of our partnership with VCU, we want to make sure that we can sustain this. We can come up with the next evidence-based practice that we want to roll out and make that successful here in Warren County. 3 years is just the beginning for us. So.
Could we go back to that slide with the bar graph, the second or so? Or not?
There's not a back button.
Well,
I think it's Windows 10. I'm not sure.
I can ask the question anyway. Obviously, many of those skills were below that 3-point level. I don't want to put you on the spot, but have you any idea what percentage of those kids on the autism spectrum have Asperger's syndrome? Is it a small percentage?
I can't tell you offhand how many children do, and there's a tricky thing with that question that you have. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual 5 came out a couple of years ago. I want to say about 3. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But they changed the criteria. They changed the definition.
Okay.
So Asperger's no longer exists.
Really?
Yes. We now have autism levels 1, 2, and 3. And I think 1 is more of the Asperger's.
Okay.
I get it confused because there's only 3. 3 is more severe, thank you. So
okay.
level 1 is more of your individual who had Asperger's prior. Of course, most of our students have been diagnosed for some time, so they have the label technically of Asperger's. But in the information that we have, if we find somebody eligible under autism, it's just autism educationally, so we don't necessarily have that data. I'd have to go through each.
Okay.
There are many students that are level 1 on the autism spectrum with a medical diagnosis that don't qualify for special education services. So I think we've identified, we were talking about this just a little bit ago, about 96 students that qualify for special education services under the autism spectrum label, but there's also many more.
Right.
And we know a lot of them help support them. Some have 504 plans, some have student support team plans,
Right.
some don't have anything at all. So that population is very prevalent.
Okay, so I'm gathering from what you're saying is that kids with Asperger are not considered the most severe on the autism spectrum if they're level 1.
That is correct.
Okay. All right.
That's less severe.
Wow. I guess from personal experience with my nephew, I mean, some students have multiple disabilities. It's not just.
It's not as clear cut. There's
Yeah.
a lot of comorbidity.
Right.
And a lot of students on the that have on level 1 on the autism
Right.
spectrum might have other diagnoses.
Exactly. My only other question, I know how Mrs. Myers was saying it's so difficult to integrate any other programs into the high school students' schedules, whether it be gifted or whatever. And you said that I think it's 1.5 hours at the high school. So does that mean it's embedded in their schedule, or they are pulled out of something for it?
It is a class. It is
It's
a
a
resource
class.
class. It is a credit class.
Okay.
So instead of having a different resource class, they have this resource class, which is specifically targeted towards their needs.
Are they mainstream for all their other classes, for the most part?
For the most part, yes.
Okay.
In that class, currently, we have a variety of things going on. We have students who are accessing our curriculum at Warren County Schools for very short periods of the day. And then we have students who are in regular ed classes and even some of the higher, the advanced classes for the rest of the day. So the students that are currently in the STARS class are more students that academically they are very near their peers, and this social impact is what is impacting their success with their peers and the school.
Thank you.
And that's at both high schools? Because, I mean, one was Skyline.
It is at Skyline. So at Warren County High, that's where the SCIP high school class is.
Okay.
So we have, in that school, we have going on the evidence-based practice of visual supports being coached right now for that teacher. So we went to the other high school and implemented the STARS class and starting there. Now the plan is, when this is successful, because I'm fully confident It will be. So far, it is. It's fantastic. So we will also roll that out to Warren County
Okay.
High for those students there, and hopefully Warren County Middle School with that program as well.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any other comments
I
or
do have
questions?
one question for Mr. Hirsch. You said there's many, many more that you know of that we don't have anything for yet. And I'm not putting you on the spot, it's just food for thought. What are your plans to try to take care of those students
Right.
also?
The answer is many of them don't need taken care of.
Okay.
There's many students
That's
on
good.
the autism section just do not qualify for additional support. They are highly functioning members of society.
Good, good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Superintendent report.
All right. Good evening. I have a few things this evening. I guess, first of all, this isn't something I'd planned on saying, but I do, after the great speakers this evening about Ressie Jeffries, I feel like I do need to say a couple of things. I started in Ressie Jeffries when I came to Warren County in 1987 as a teacher. I came back there as the assistant principal in 1991, and I guess all I can do is just kind of echo the same things that you guys said. I'm in agreement. I know the school board's in agreement too, and they have some very good working ideas in place. I think we're going to see some things moving sooner rather than later. Your work here tonight was valued. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. I commend you as a staff, I commend the students, and I commend the parents for their ongoing and work and perseverance and sometimes less than ideal conditions. I'm just saying that to be nice. Less than ideal conditions. When I was there in 91, 92, we had those buckets too. So we ran up and down the buckets, and I see Lisa and Donna shaking their heads. They had the buckets. There's something about a big flat roof that just doesn't work right. So it's been fixed a couple of times. It's been redone, and I know it needs it again. So that's the way life is. So I guess my final thing on that is I really do commend you guys. It's a tough place to work sometimes. You guys have each other, and you guys do a really nice job working together. It's always nice to see. So I hope what you'll see soon is some action that way, and I positively will. So that's my comment on that. Hope you don't mind. We had a progress meeting today for on the building for the new middle school, and we talked about groundbreaking a little bit. I just want to make sure everybody understands that groundbreaking is next Thursday at 10 a.m. Parking is going to be very limited. We're even getting buses in there. We're going to actually have to back the buses in, let people off, and pull back out. We're going to try to get it ready for us. But I guess I would really encourage everyone to do two things. Park at Bing Crosby. You'll get picked up by a bus. And then second, wear shoes that will allow you to walk on gravel and grass. They'll have an area for us. But about 9:30, gravel and grass. We'll have it ready for us, but it's not going to be paved. And high heels, I think, was recommended for some of our folks that wear high heels all the time to not wear. So just stiletto would be great. Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah.
Right.
So the final thing, I hope you'll indulge me for a few minutes on this topic. October is the Virginia School Boards Association Bullying Prevention Month. The board later in their agenda is going to do a proclamation regarding that, but I just would like to just take just a moment to talk a little bit about bullying, what Warren County Public Schools has been and will continue to do to combat this issue. And it's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I just would like to comment that bullying and the associated behaviors, and I would account them among intimidation, threats, attempting to control somebody, sharing embarrassing information. Unfortunately, they're kind of pervasive in our society. We only have to watch the evening news, read the newspaper, get on Facebook and Twitter, and see example after example of how people treat each other. It makes me sad. You know, I was coming to work this morning and read a bumper sticker. No one cares about your stick figure family with a big truck running over the stick figure family. Now, we might chuckle, but if you think about it, what's that message? We've all seen the bumper sticker, "My kid can beat up your honor student." A principal on their way home this evening, I'm hoping once they got home, they texted me and said, "I saw another one. My kid can beat up, no, my dog is smarter than your honor roll student." Well, and then also the one that we often see, "Back off," and the two pistols are out behind. What is that message? So all these comments and sometimes those associated behaviors appear to be acceptable in the world that we live. Our children, our kids, adolescents walking into school, they've been bombarded with these messages. However, those comments and actions are not acceptable in the world of school. They shouldn't be acceptable anywhere. I'd contend they're not acceptable anytime we want to show tolerance, caring, and develop positive relationships. So what's the school to do? Because every parent has the right to expect their child's going to be safe and secure when they ride the bus or enter the school door. So here's what we've done. One, we've created clear expectations about all behaviors in our school, and this includes how we treat each other. Very first page of the Code of Conduct, second sentence. This commitment to high expectations includes standards for behavior that demonstrates respect for self and others. It's right there. These expectations are further set at each school. Every school has its own set of rules and guidelines in their staff handbooks and student handbooks. Part of those expectations are exhibited in the consequences for not adhering to those expectations. And therefore, they're set forth very clearly in our Code of Conduct as well, page 49 and 50. It outlines exactly what will happen if bullying occurs. Second, we focus on helping all of us, adults and students, develop positive relationships with each other. That's what it's really about. Each school continually works at developing positive relationships. Some would say, and I'd be among them, that this is one of the primary objectives of the world of school, helping all of us learn how to get along in the world in which we live, because it's very diverse. In a minute, I'll ask Mr. Hirsch to come up and talk about some programs that directly and indirectly help combat bullying. You know what? It doesn't matter. Any behavior, whether we call it bullying or not, whether it's intimidating or threats or controlling others, it's unacceptable. We've got to address it. We've got to deal with it. Despite our best efforts, it does occur. I can only say this. We take each incident seriously, and based on the particulars of the incident, we try to treat the underlying reasons or conditions that has caused this to occur. Now I'll ask Mike to come up and just talk a few minutes about programs we have in place and what each school's been doing, besides what each school's been doing. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Madam Chairman, I emailed each principal a couple days ago and asked them to share with me some of the things that they're doing that address character education, that address things like intimidation and harassment, bullying, and all those kinds of things. And I just went through my little list. I'm not prepared to share that list with you today, but I counted them up, and there's 32 different things. Some of them are the same in each school, but there's 32 different initiatives that are employed in our school division to help build character and to help students and staff make healthy choices and make appropriate choices. But schools can't do it alone. And what I thought I would share with you today is we partner with many agencies throughout the community. We're just one small player. Well, we're actually the biggest player, but we're a major player. But we share that responsibility with our partners. Our partners at the Sheriff's Office, who help us with the DARE education. Our partners with the Department of Social Services, the Community Services Board, and many nonprofit agencies. One partner, community partner, that we have done a lot with over the last decade is the Warren Coalition. So I thought, well, what programs do we have with the Warren Coalition as partners do we employ in our school division? Well, there's 12. So I thought I'd make you aware of them quickly. first program is called the College Access Network program. That happened years ago when we got a Jack Kent Cook grant that financed a college access network specialist in our school. That person is shared with the Warren Coalition and with Warren County Schools and is housed at Warren County High School, but helps all students access college, make healthy choices, make good choices, build character. The Spark program at Warren County Middle School. This is a targets obesity. That brand new basketball court was funded through the Spark program, the Spark grant that's at Warren County Middle School. And it helps students make better choices. This program is also a Brighter Futures learning community. There's the I'm Happy program. This directly targets bullying. And this program is offered through the Byrne Grant, which provides a second step curriculum to the guidance counselors at Morrison, Rose, Ressie, and to all the teams at Warren County Middle School. Second Step is a bullying prevention program. Small groups are also held with students who have interaction difficulties with other students, stress or anxiety. They utilize the COPE curriculum. And the COPE curriculum is creating opportunities for personal empowerment. It's all about making appropriate choices. And I will speed this up. I don't want to take all of your time. The Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth. This is a project and grant that provides opportunities for the Warren County Public Schools staff and the Warren Coalition staff to provide drug prevention and help them make healthy choices. There's another bullying and character ed prevention program. This program includes a life skills curriculum in the 8th grade at Skyline High School and Warren County High School. Too Good for Drugs and Violence program is in the 9th grade at both of our high schools, as well as Brighter Futures. Towards No Drugs at Diversified Minds and life skills materials for 6th and 7th graders at Warren County Middle School. We're getting ready to roll out the HALO program at our preschool, at our early childhood preschool programs. Project Wahoo 95210 is an online program at all schools for students grades 4 through 8 that allows students to record their exercise time and incentives and helps them make healthy choices and build character. And quickly going through these, you'll all see advertisements about the Powder Puff football game with Warren County High School and Skyline High School girls coming up. And that's part of the Above the Influence grant. And these are clubs at Warren County High School and Skyline High School and Warren County Middle School that help prevent drug abuse. There's also anger management groups held at both high schools, and they utilize what's called the SCARE curriculum. And they're put on by our school social workers, school psychologists, and Warren Coalition staff. The Right Turn program, which addresses substance abuse for our first-time offenders. Not on Tobacco, a court-ordered smoking cessation class. We also have a youth alcohol and drug program. And we also have, which we'll talk about today a little bit later, the 21st Century Learning Grant, which is an after-school program at Warren County Middle School. All these programs are designed to help students make healthy choices, and in it, create a stronger fabric in Warren County that addresses the horrible things like bullying and harassment and intervention. So we are taking a holistic approach and trying to look at character education as one. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I'd love to have questions, and I also would love to run off the stage.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
And that concludes my report.
Okay. School board reports. Mr. Williams?
Yes, Chair, Lady Chair. I would just kind of echo Mr. Drescher's statements earlier. It was very heartfelt, I guess, and passionate from the teachers, the staff at Ressie Jeffries, and seems what they go through daily to do. And I've seen some of the test scores, a meeting ago, of how good they are. I mean, how much they've improved from one year to the next. And it's kind of nice to see a group that is that close and that passionate about having something happen. I mean, that's very impressive. But very professional when you speak, and that's even better. I mean, the point is well taken to us, to our community, and I kind of appreciate it because it kind of makes you a little more humble of, wow, take a look, Yeah, we have all these other schools, and, it's kind of tough to be in the one that's not the nicest or the newest or any of that. So I guess the bottom line is, yeah, it's got to be taken care of through our community, through the school system, through the school board, through the county government, and I think there's a lot of things going in the right direction to make that happen. And that's just me speaking. I'm not speaking for the board. So I applaud you for coming tonight and being so forthright. That's it, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rosen?
Just a couple of comments. I hope everybody understands what we experienced here tonight. We experienced team players, professional faculty, not afraid of it to come forward and say, hey, we got some issues. Can you help us? And in retrospect, can we help? Yes, we can. And you all can help. And we can do this together in a team approach with Ressie Jeffries. I'm convinced of that. There are some tremendous obstacles ahead of us, money, taxes being raised, things like that, that we're going to take heed on. But so what? We're going to get the schools taken care of. I can't speak for the whole board at this point, although I feel very comfortable that we are together on getting this solved as quickly as possible. And I know I am.
Thank you. Mr. Wells?
I just echo all of that, but I do want to talk to all of you and tell you don't go anywhere. Put your names down somewhere, because the way the funding is going to come about, we may not be able to do everything at once. So we're going to need some prioritization, and we're probably going to be turning to you folks to help us out and tell us what needs to be fixed first, and what do we spend our dollars on first, and then what can wait a while. And so those are the kinds of things that we're going to need. I'll deviate from that one for a second. And I spoke with Aaron Mitchell earlier this week, and we've been talking about weather routes, and the committee is ready to come back together and do a little bit of work. He's going to reach out to some community folks to see if they can help us, again, help advise us where we need to put those routes and how those routes might work. But in the meantime, we talked about the Friesland turnaround and the turnaround on the other side of the mountain that he pointed out that the county always looks out for our transportation needs when they're doing some type of a project. And in both those projects, they were able to just sort of move the bulldozer a little bit farther on down the road and tear out and gravel up a few more spots to help us find some places to bring our buses in and turn them around safely and load the kids up and that kind of thing. So I want to thank the county, particularly Mr. Stanley and Mr. Childress, because they're always, Aaron said, they're always keep our transportation needs when they're doing road work and that kind of thing as well. So.
Thank you. Mrs. Refko?
I think it's obvious that the school board does recognize the issues at Ressie Jeffries, and we have no intention of ignoring them. However, the board is constrained by funding sources from the state, the federal government, and local funding. But we do see that there is light at the end of the tunnel with the sale of the Water Street property, the bond for the new middle school, the bid coming in lower, the energy savings. I mean, finally, we know there's going to be revenue there, and we know that Ressie Jeffries is a priority. And the other priority for us has been to try to raise teacher salaries and benefits to make us more competitive with surrounding divisions, because we have lost way too many teachers over the last 2 years. A horrible, horrible statistic. And I believe, I was very glad at the candidates forum the other night to hear several of the candidates for Board of Supervisors saying that that has to be a priority. So if the county recognizes that, and I know we do, and I know Mr. Drescher has a plan. So I think that, you know, we're going to put some serious discussion together, some serious work together to head in that correct direction. But again, this school board, all of our actions depend on funding, and we don't create our own sources of funding. We don't have that ability. thank God, because in New Jersey, the school boards had taxing authority, and it was a disaster. So you have to understand, our hearts may be in the right place, but until we get money to do anything, we really can't act. But we are determined to do something about RESI, and we are determined to do something about teacher salaries and benefits. And as Greg, you know, I have every confidence Greg is going to make things happen for this school division. Thank you.
And I also want to say thank you for coming out tonight and voicing your concerns. We're with you. We understand the issues, and you are one of our top priorities. So thank you. Action agenda. Presentations by staff. Appointment of gifted advisory committee members. Mrs. Myers. Mrs. Myers. You're not. He wants to go home. He's trying to get his out of the way.
He's very anxious to talk to
Yes.
The establishment of the Gifted Advisory Committee is included in our Gifted People Plan, and the members of the committee must be appointed by you as the school board. You have a list in front of you of nominations. Each school is represented by both a teacher and a parent, and there are a couple of community members on there as well. So we just need your approval. If you would like to suggest an additional member or other members, you have that authority to do so.
I move that the list of nominations for the Warren County Public Schools Gifted Advisory Committee 2015-2016 be approved for appointment.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appointment of additional members to Special Education Advisory Committee. Mr. Hirsch.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Mr. Superintendent. I heard the words advisory committee.
Yes.
Got my attention. In accordance with the Individual with Disabilities Education Act, an advisory committee will be established to advise the superintendent and the school board with needs of students with disabilities in Warren County. The 2015-16 membership was approved in the August meeting, but there are, as our bylaws allow, we do have a few late appointments that are listed in your board packet, and I'm hoping that you will appoint them to the advisory committee.
I recommend that the board approve the additional members of the 2015-2016 Special Education Advisory Board as presented.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. I'm watching you.
Kick me under there.
Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. Adopt a resolution that would allow hybrid employees to direct voluntary contributions to an employer-sponsored VRS hybrid 403B retirement plan. Mr. Smith.
Good evening. In your packet, you will find a cover sheet that goes over our employer-sponsored hybrid 403B plan. This is an extension of what we discussed in our last work session meeting, and I will read briefly through the explanation and summary, and then I'll pull off of that terminology, and then we'll talk a little bit about the three plans just briefly and explain a little bit of how this kind of works. Recent legislation allows for school divisions to elect to allow eligible employees to use an employer-sponsored hybrid 403 plan, which we have. We kind of refer to it as our retirement plan, our secondary retirement plan, for employee volunteer contribution to the hybrid retirement plan. The employer match on these contributions will go into the 403B or the employer's cash match plan pursuant to the IRS 401A code. The Code of Virginia requires, and this is just this year, this occurred, the Code of Virginia requires that school boards must make an election by Friday, October 30th, 2015, whether to go with this plan or not. Resolutions must be postmarked before November 2nd, 2015, and returned to the Virginia retirement system. If a school board elects to offer an employer-sponsored plan, hybrid plan employees within the school division will elect to make voluntary contributions to the employer-sponsored hybrid 403B plans or the 457 deferred comprehensive plan during an election period. And that election period is from November 1st to November 30th. This is an option for those who are in the hybrid plan. They don't have to do this. This is just an option. The employee elections will be effective January 1st of 2016. This is an annual election for both school boards and school divisions, as well as for the employee, if they choose to do this, the hybrid eligible employee only, actually. A new 403 hybrid plan document will be created, and the administrative duties will continue to be directed and monitored by our third-party administrator, which is Admin Partners. And we've actually contacted Admin Partners to be able to draft our new document our plan document that would go with this 403B. Actually, we're very fortunate because Admin Partners is one of the groups that educated, I guess, our Senate, our General Assembly, to look at being able to go with a 403B type of plan for part of your retirement. Now, with all that said, let's just talk about the three plans that we currently have under VRS. We have a Plan 1, a Plan 2, and a hybrid. Plan 1 and Plan 2 are extremely similar in the fact that there's money that goes into a defined benefit. It goes into from the school division. There's actually a total of your salary as a VRS person for Plan 1 and Plan 2, 19.06% of what you make will go into your retirement. The school division is the one that contributes roughly 14.06, let's just say 14% of that as a school division. We put that into their retirement plan. It goes directly into their defined benefit. And remember, a few years ago, the state said that we need to up salaries for all VRS employees by 5%. And the 14.06 is put in by the employer, and then the employee actually puts in from their salary. Now, this is real money from their salary. The money that we give, the 14.06, that doesn't affect their salary. That's money that we put in. But that 5%, we gave it a 5% raise a few years ago. That was to cover that increase. So 5% of their salary goes in also to the defined benefit. That's how you get the 19.06 full amount. 14.06 from the school board and 5% from the employee. So with those two plans, you can actually go on the VRS website. You can actually punch in your name, you log in, you set up an account, you go in. You can say, when I retire at such and such age, what should I be receiving each month? What should my benefit be each month? Well, with those two plans, you just get a number. That is what the number is. So it is a defined benefit. That's what I would get. In 2000, just a couple years ago, VRS now went to, for anyone hired after January 1st, 2014, they went to a hybrid plan. And the hybrid plan is really just a combination of two things. We'll talk about a defined benefit and then a defined contribution. As I mentioned earlier, on the first two plans, 19.06% goes in to create the amount that goes into the savings and so forth for retirement. And sorry, I talk with my hands. I'm a visual person. And in a hybrid plan, it's still 19.06 that will go into their retirement. But the percentages are just a tad bit different. The employer still gives 14.06, let's just say 14%, as they would in the other plans. However, 13.06 of that goes into a defined benefit plan, and 1% of that goes into a defined contribution, almost like into a 401A that's run through the state. So the money is invested. The hybrid plan is not as rich as Plan 1 or Plan 2. So you try to make up for the plan not being as rich by doing this investing, that 1% going in, hoping that the market will be able to turn over more than it normally would had it all went into a defined benefit. The employee still gives 5%. 4% of that goes into the defined benefit. Once again, goes in, you know how much is going to come out. But that 1%, because they get 5, and I just mentioned 4, so the 1% then goes also into those investment accounts set up with the VRS. Now, what this new plan would allow that school boards would elect is that those eligible in the hybrid plan could now take an additional 4% of their own salary, up to 4% of their salary, and they could take this money and either they could invest it in the current plan that they have with hybrid, putting more money into that investment area, that 1%, or they could do something with a 403B. They could take that 4% and once again, they'd be digging into their salary, so that they would be up to 9% of taking their salary to do this. And they could take that 4%, and then they could go on who's on our 403B vendor list that we have approved for Edward Jones, Horace Mann, Voya, and so forth. There's 6 of them that's on there. And they could go locally and take that and then open up a 403B with a local agent so that they could see the person face to face. They're not really going to see a person so much face to face with it going into the state plan, but they'd have a little bit more control of how they would monitor this money. It still would have deep stipulations. It's your retirement plan, so you just can't cash it out. You just can't roll it over into this and take loans. It still is set up to where down the road you're going to be using this once you retire. Now, the key part of this is an employer's match. When the employee puts in, let's say they can put in up to 4%, we as a board would match that up to 2.5% of their full salary, whatever 2.5% of their salary would be. But in essence, there is no additional cost to us as a board. Because you may say, well, Buck, where does that 2.5 come from? It comes from that 13.06 that you give them anyway. You're just taking 2.5 of that off and giving it to them to be able to invest more in that local 403B plan. So it's kind of like we are matching, but if we go with this plan, we're allowing them to use the money that we would have put in that defined benefit area to be able now to go into almost like a defined contribution area where they can start to manage their money a little bit more. They would be able to go to Horace Mann or Edward Jones here in town and sit down with someone and say, you know, I want to move this around, or I want to put more funding toward this. If we don't elect to go with this resolution, we'll probably, to be honest with you, be very similar to most divisions throughout the Commonwealth who I think are sitting back saying, I almost want other people to take the initiative on this to see how this works. I am still uncertain of the additional workload that it will put on us as a staff, but I'm sure we can handle whatever that additional workload is. Admin Partners, our third-party administrator, has said that really since they created a lot of this, they most definitely would be able to work us through this. I am in support and encouraging the board to allow us to go ahead and allow those hybrid option employees to go ahead to be able to do this so that they can actually have a little bit more control. And also locally, obviously it would have an impact locally with our financial advisors and those type of things because it would be local money that would be here. But at the same time, you can actually go down and meet with someone and be able to control it. It's an annual thing. if the employee doesn't want to do it after a year, they can opt back out and go into their plan. Or if an employer, if we decide, no, this is just not worth it, we have that option. But it's something that's brand new. I think once other divisions start to see at least someone move forward to try to do this, I think other divisions will follow. I'm sure the hesitation is they're just afraid, do I really want to become VRS? And what are our responsibilities and those type of things. But I've been pretty much convinced that most of the stuff that we'll go through will just be a matter of just administrative stuff to get this up and running. And then Admin Partners, our third-party administrator, will be able to help with this plan, and then our local agents will be able to work with our people where they can actually have a voice in their money. What questions would you have for me? I mean,
do you see this as another enhancement for recruitment and retention of employees?
I think so. I think anything that we can do to help people feel like they want to stay here for reasons even just beyond money, that this is a place that cares about me and those type of things. I think as far as a selling point, anyone coming into the school division now who wasn't in a Plan 1 or Plan 2, they're coming into this hybrid. There's not an option. But I'd like to give them an option once they get here to be able to use the money with a 403B or the state's 457. And when we mentioned earlier, I know we talk about salaries and those type of things, and it's not just us that's being hit with salary issues in education for teachers. It's everywhere, but obviously we focus on ourselves, so we talk about ourselves, and we should. But if you look at a starting teacher's salary, it's $40,655. If you immediately take 5% of that away, then you're already now really looking at a net take-home or a net pay or a gross pay of around $38,000 to start out for teaching. And then once you start taking away your taxes and you start taking away, if you do a health plan, you start to do that, you get down to, some bare minimum amount of money for someone who is as valuable as a teacher in society. There isn't a position or anyone in society that got where they're at without someone teaching them. Mm-hmm. It is the profession that teaches all professions. I think it would be beneficial, Doug, for recruiting, and I also think it would just give our people more options.
This plays into our superintendent's plan for the health of our employees, the financial aspect of it, so that I'm sure when you sit down with employees that all three plans will be explained. Will there need to be an adjustment to our payroll or financial software for this other plan? Will it need to be tweaked?
There will be additional deductions that we have to implement, so yes, we will. But the system's set up to accommodate additional ones, and quite honestly, when we went to the hybrid plan, there was major updates we had to do, so this will be just adding additional ones in that same area.
Okay. And you said that the employee's contribution comes out before they are taxed, so that 5% it's not tax sheltered, but it comes right off of their gross salary.
That's correct.
And when it goes into the part that goes into the investment, that's tax sheltered, correct?
That's correct.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll pay taxes on it when they retire, but
Right,
it'll be
right,
a
but
lesser
it's
amount.
tax sheltered. Just the investment piece? All of it?
All of it would be
All
tax
of it
sheltered.
is tax sheltered, the retirement piece and the investment piece. The defined amount and the other is all tax
Correct.
sheltered. Okay.
And you will be sitting down with people in groups to explain the different options.
We will. We will get, once we go with this resolution, then we'll get more guidance of what we send out and how we go about presenting this to our employees. Part of this will be we've started our retirement academy October 20th is when the day that we launch this. When I say launch, what really that it is, it'll be some websites attached to our website that will talk about starting to look at financial investments, those type of things. Not for a particular company or anything, just straight up why you should invest, what it will do in the long term. If you fail not to do it, what it could do to you down the road, those type of things. Also, in addition, we'll have some speakers come in to be able to meet with our folks, and then we'll be able to have the agents or the local companies who have this plan to come in and talk to our people as well. There will be handouts, there will be things called email blasts that will be sent out, those type of things. So it's something that will continue to go on, and we're looking first to start on October 20th as just to get people started, just to get them to start looking through the websites. And today we had a gentleman come in today who will be working with our faculty at multiple faculty meetings, just explaining different type of options and those type of things as far as the 403Bs. We also have a 457 plan as well as part of our retirement, our secondary retirement package. Through the school division, we have 403Bs and 457s.
And as Mr. Wells once wisely said, the difference is, what, 54?
I appreciate your hard work on giving this information to us, and I'm a big proponent of defined contribution, not benefit. And I'm also a big advocate of employees being able to handle their money as they see fit, and with guidance from the employer. And the more opportunities you can provide to plan for the retirement, which I'm retired, it's very important. And I like the idea of putting as many pieces out there for the employee to choose from, because it really enhances our benefit package. We keep working on the salary too.
And it's an option. I mean, it's an option that they're not forced one way or the other. But I'm hoping that they, at least it will spark some interest, even if they don't go with it, to maybe look at maybe not this 403B part, but maybe just part of our regular 403Bs or our 457s.
I think it's great that our staff is taking the lead on this particular plan, but also that you educate. We educate our staff. When I was a young teacher, a slick salesman would come in from VALIC, and another one would come in from the other one, and whoever had the best sales pitch, you put your money there. And when after my retirement, I took all the money out of those because they weren't profitable for me, and gave it to another firm. So I'm glad that we don't just allow a slick salesman to come in and do their pitch and bowl over the employees. I'm glad we're the ones who educate them.
And I know the Warren County Educational Association also are having different financial advising meetings and those type of things for employees to attend, that they're sponsoring those type of things to just prepare people beyond down the road once you retire. Someone said it earlier that when you're in the teaching profession, you're almost always thinking about the other person. You're not necessarily, and hardly ever, really thinking about yourself. And by the time we do start to think about ourselves in education, it's probably past the time to start thinking about ourselves, because in this profession, it's a profession of humanistic and also just charity. We give of ourselves, and we give of ourselves to people. And I'd said it before in meetings, when I went into education, I don't remember ever taking a class that dealt with as far as retirement and finances and those type of things. It was basically, how are you going to learn the methods, the instruction, the curriculum, the pedagogy to be able to teach students, and that was the focus. So we're hoping with Greg's initiative here with the Retirement Academy and some of these things that we can just pick up on, I think it probably will benefit our employees.
Okay. And they have the option of going into it at a later year if they decide not to do it this year, or
Yeah.
getting out of it if they decide to do so later.
That's correct.
Madam Chairman, you want a motion?
Sure.
I move the Warren County School Board approve a resolution to allow eligible employees to direct hybrid voluntary contributions to an employer-sponsored hybrid 403B retirement plan.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Approval of Title III, Part A, Language Instruction for Limited English Proficient and Immigrant Students Plan. Ms. Rudisell and Mrs. Boyce.
Good evening. That's quite a mouthful, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You received in your packets a copy of the division's Title III plan for providing instruction for students who have limited English proficiency. This plan must be approved by the board in order for us to receive the federal funds that go along with that program. So we're asking for your approval of that plan this evening. If you have any questions, myself and primarily Mrs. Boyce are here to answer those for you.
How many students do we have that would fall into this category?
Perfect. That was the question I anticipated. I did a report this morning. Our school, we have 91 students who are identified as ESL grades K through 12. We have 33 additional students that are considered formally limited English proficient, which means that they passed the test to exit, but we're required by law to monitor them for 2 years. So they don't count in our ESL count, but they still are identified for purposes. They can come back to the program if they're not successful. We have 54 of the 91 are at the elementary level, 10 at the middle school wing.
Okay, thank you.
See why she's here?
Yes.
Yes.
She did her homework.
I'm glad to see that the professional development activities are going to be spread among teachers, principals, other people in the staff, not just ESL teachers, so that's good. Well, we used to call it ESL, I don't know what we call it anymore.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah, yeah.
Any questions or discussion? No? Motion? You want to give the motion?
Sure. I thought there was any other question.
Oh, no one spoke up, so
Madam Chairman, I move that Title III, Part A, Language Instruction for Limited English Proficients and Immigrant Students Plan be approved for submission to the Virginia Department of Education.
Second.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Donation of Warren County Public School vehicle to the Warren County Sheriff's Office. Mrs. Shepherd? This is your first time up tonight.
I know.
Wow.
I'm kind of slighted.
Yes.
The Warren County Transportation Department would like to donate a 2001 Chevrolet van to the Warren County Sheriff's Department. The vehicle has over 127,000 miles and has no trade-in value. It's not suitable for students or staff due to the floor rusting. And the Sheriff's Department has indicated that they would be able to find use for the vehicle for training purposes.
Since the floors are rotted out by rust, are they going to do a Flintstone thing to get it?
I think they're going to use it for training for overuse vehicles and maybe things like that.
You didn't get your joke.
Oh, she's probably too, yeah.
I got it.
She wanted to be professional and not laugh. Or she's too young to remember.
Take the too young. Take the too young.
I move approval be given to donate a 2001 Chevrolet van to the Warren County Sheriff's Department.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Acceptance of 21st Century Learning Grant. Mr. Hirsch. Did he leave? Yeah, we'll come back to that.
I can do it.
Oh, can you do that? Okay.
Mr. McCloskey's going to see if he's out there.
Is he gone? Okay. We've had him all confused tonight, haven't we?
Call Ms. Myers.
21st Century Learning Grant has been applied for and awarded to Warren County Public Schools in the amount of $129,760. This grant will continue for 3 years unless there is funding cuts at the state level. This grant funds the after-school program at Warren County Middle School, the Schools Out program. So we're just touching on your grant here, Mr. Hirsch. I don't know if there were any questions. It's a grant we had talked about before. This is just to accept the funds.
Yeah, I spoke with Mr. Hirsch today on the phone, and I was very impressed with the work done by the coordinator, who has to just get into the curriculum and do, she's got to be superwoman, really,
Right.
to get this program going. So I thank Mrs. Joyce Jenkins Wimmer, is that how you pronounce her name? For doing that Herculean task, and for all of the teachers involved in this STEAM program. That's it?
That's it.
For a motion?
I move that the 21st Century Learning Grant be accepted in the amount of $129,760.
Is there a second? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Acceptance of PBIS grant. Mr. Hirsch.
The Positive Behavior Intervention Supports Grant's been applied for to continue for the 15-16 school year. We were awarded this grant last year in the amount of $29,000. It was decreased a little bit across the state for the divisions that were, I don't want to even use the word lucky, the divisions that were that had the opportunity to accept that grant. We were, again, given the grant this year. We are expanding the grant to Ressie Jeffries Elementary School and Warren County Middle School to continue to do positive behavior supports, interventions and supports, which goes hand in hand to what we're doing with ACIT, but this is for all students, not just students with disabilities, and this impacts everyone. We've worked very closely with the principals at all those buildings to make sure that they have coaches for the positive behavioral supports, and they've been very, very receptive of the program, and we're really excited, and we're going to try to get it again next year too.
Good, thanks.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we move that Positive Behavior Intervention and Support PBIS grant be accepted in the amount of $25,000.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. Presentations by superintendent. Acceptance of donations.
A donation of a 2005 Toyota RAV4 vehicle from Thomas Luce has been received by the Blue Ridge Career and Technical Center, and a donation of 16 book bags from Walmart has been received by Warren County Middle School. We'd appreciate the motion to accept those donations.
Okay. Anybody like to make the motion?
Madam Chairman, I move that the Warren County School Board accept the donation of a 2005 Toyota RAV4 vehicle from Thomas Luce and a donation of 16 book bags from Walmart with gratitude.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Request to reclassify payroll position.
The payroll clerk position, which will be vacant after the 23rd of this month, is currently placed on the Administrative Assistant Salary Scale, Grade 7. Based on a review of the requirements and responsibilities of the job, it is recommended that the position be reclassified as Payroll Specialist and its placement be moved from the Administrative Assistant Scale, Grade 7, to the PC Technician Salary Scale, Grade 36. Since this scale also includes the 2 administrative software specialists in addition to the PC technician, it is further recommended that the name of this scale be changed to Level 1 Specialist Salary Scale, Grade 36, to more accurately reflect the positions it covers. The positions in this scale would then be Technology Specialists, formerly known as PC Tech, Administrative Software Specialists, and Payroll Specialists. There's a few attachments for your purview. The cost and financing certainly will depend on who we ultimately select for that position. Applications will be open, and we will begin interviewing for those as soon as we have applicants available. If there is an increase in the amount, it would be covered by using the current available staff turnover funds.
Okay. I know this is something we've been discussing for years,
Yep.
and I think it's overdue. That if we want someone, to do that amount of work and to get it all perfect every time, we need to respect the position with a proper salary.
Yeah, I believe we've been discussing that one for a few years now.
It's nothing new. So.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Drescher?
Nope.
Comments?
Good move.
Okay. You want to do the motion?
Madam Chairman, I move that the payroll clerk position be reclassified as payroll specialist and be moved from the administrative assistant salary scale, grade 7, to the PC technician salary scale, grade 36, effective October 26, 2015. I further move that the PC technician salary scale, grade 36, be renamed Level 1 Specialist Grade 36 Salary Scale.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Adopt proclamation recognizing October 2015 as VSBA Bullying Prevention Month. Mr. Drescher.
So just in an effort to promote awareness of school bullying, the VSBA Board of Directors has designated the month of October as VSBA Bullying Prevention Month. Among the list of recommended activities for school divisions is the adoption of a proclamation designating October 2015 as VSBA Bullying Prevention Month. A proposal proclamation for Warren County Public Schools is attached.
Are we reading the proclamation?
I think that would
or-
be the
Do you want to read that? or-
I would suggest Mr. Wells maybe would want to read
Wells,
that. if-
would you like to read that?
If you want to. He did make the comment that this would be a good idea, and I appreciate that.
Okay, this is Warren County School Board proclamation. Whereas school bullying has become an increasingly significant problem in the United States and Virginia, and whereas almost 30% of the youth in the United States are estimated to be involved in bullying each year, either as a bully or as a victim, and whereas an estimated 160,000 students in kindergarten through 12th grade miss school every day due to a fear of being bullied, and whereas bullying can take many forms, including verbal, physical, and most recently in cyberspace, and can happen in many places on and off school grounds. And whereas it is important for Virginia parents, students, teachers, and school administrators to be aware of bullying and to encourage discussion of the problem as a school community. And whereas the Virginia School Boards Association, VSBA, has developed a model policy on anti-bullying to encourage positive behaviors and to eliminate bullying behaviors. Whereas the VSBA has designated the month of October 2015 as VSBA Bullying Prevention Month. Now, therefore, the Warren County School Board does hereby also recognize the month of October 2015 as VSBA Bullying Prevention Month, with the intention that the issue of bullying and its prevention be discussed in Warren County schools and classrooms during that time. Adopted in Front Royal, Virginia, this 8th day of October 2015.
Thank you.
I move that the proposed Warren County School Board proclamation recognizing October 2015 as VSBA Bullying Prevention Month be adopted as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Potential October 22nd, 2015 agenda items, select workshops to attend at the VSBA annual convention, and the first 9 weeks report on positive behavioral interventions and supports program. Any further business?
I would ask 2 things to be considered is some additional discussion on the ESCO energy savings plan that we will be prepared to offer some information at that time, I'm hoping. And then Mrs. Shepard's a little ahead of schedule this year with the 2016-17 school calendar, so we have a first look for you guys to consider. So it would just be a matter of taking a look at, show you what we've been kicking around.
Okay, great. Any further